The brake lights are glaring red in the early morning darkness. You are stuck in lane 3 on Interstate 95 at a dead stop. Your low fuel light chimes. That tiny yellow icon on the dashboard triggers an instant knot in your stomach. You have not even badged into the office yet, but you are already bleeding money. I know this exact feeling because I have gripped that same steering wheel. I have felt the cold leather under my hands while feeling completely exhausted before the shift even starts. I have watched the digital clock tick past 8:30. I have felt the panic of being late for a morning meeting that absolutely could have been an email. Look what they did to your time. Let us look at a guy named David. David makes $60,000 a year. When he signed that offer letter, he felt proud. He called his parents and thought he finally made it to the solid middle class. But David is living a mathematical lie. He is a victim of a concept we need to unpack. Today, his human resources department sold him a gross salary number that simply does not exist in the real world. Let us do the brutal math right here on the table. David lives 40 miles away from his downtown office building. He cannot afford rent in the city center where the jobs are, so he pays what we call the distance penalty. This is exactly how the Sam Vimes Boots theory works in modern America. Because David cannot afford the massive upfront premium of living close by, he pays a daily tax just to exist. Every morning, his alarm goes off at 5:30. He spends 2 solid hours a day navigating the bumper-to-bumper mess on I-95. That is 10 hours a week. That is roughly 500 hours a year sitting in a metal box. 500 hours. That is over 20 full days of his life gone every single year. He is not getting paid for those 20 days. In fact, he is paying out of his own pocket for the privilege of sitting there. Let us break down the cash that leaves his account. His car payment is $500 a month. The friendly finance guy at the car dealership convinced him that an 84-month loan was a smart move. He smiled across the desk and said it would keep his monthly payments nice and low. That guy was not his friend. That guy locked David into a 7-year depreciation nightmare. Then there is the auto insurance. David pays $150 a month because his zip code is rated high risk by an algorithm. Then we hit the gas pump. David fills up his tank twice a week at $60 a pop. That is almost $500 a month just in fuel burned while idling in traffic. We absolutely cannot forget the Easy Pass. Those tolls silently drain his checking account $5 at a time. It hits his linked credit card automatically every time the prepaid balance drops. He does not even look at the email notifications anymore. Add in the regular oil changes. Add in the cheap tires he is forced to buy. He buys cheap tires because he never has the cash saved up for the good ones. So he replaces them twice as often after hitting the massive neglected potholes on the off-ramp. This is the poverty premium in action. It costs a whole lot of money to not have money. When you add it all up, David is spending roughly $1,300 a month just to get to his desk. That is $15,600 a year, straight out of his $60,000 salary. But remember, David pays federal and state taxes on that full $60,000. His actual take-home pay is closer to $46,000. Now, subtract the $15,600 for the car and the commute. David is now working with about $30,000 to actually live his life. He just lost a massive chunk of his actual income to the road. To buy that car, pay that insurance, and burn that gas, David has to work 3 solid months out of the year. January, February, and March are entirely dedicated to paying for his commute. He essentially works for free for 90 days. If this number punched you in the stomach, subscribe. Here we do not talk about miracle investments or fake overnight riches. We talk about stopping the fraud you commit against yourself. You see, the entire setup relies on you focusing only on the gross salary. The car companies market absolute freedom on open mountain roads. But your reality is gridlock next to a semi-truck hauling frozen chicken. The marketing creates a false, desperate need for a brand new SUV. The city planners refuse to build reliable public transit infrastructure. The silent inflation eats away at the purchasing power of your gas money, and you are left holding the empty bag. David thinks he earns $30 an hour. But you have to add the 10 hours of unpaid commute time to his 40-hour work week, and you have to subtract the massive commute expenses from his weekly paycheck. His actual hourly wage drops to less than $14 an hour. He is barely making minimum wage. If you got mad at this math, leave a like. Anger is the very first step toward efficiency. We call this the invisible 20% rule. It is the chunk of your hard-earned income that vanishes before you even unlock your front door at night. Think about the physical exhaustion. David finally gets home at 6:30 in the evening. His back hurts, and he has zero energy to stand in the kitchen and cook. So he orders a $25 delivery meal on his phone. That heavy delivery fee is just another hidden byproduct of the commute: exhaustion. He pays for extreme convenience because the highway completely stole his energy. He is paying a premium just to physically recover from his job. This is exactly how the math traps you in the cycle. It is not just one single bad financial decision. It is a stacked deck of hidden costs carefully disguised as normal adult life. The bank manager approves the loan with a smile. The human resources rep congratulates you on the minor salary bump. The auto shop sends you a colorful coupon for a brake job. They all quietly take a slice of your time, because money is simply stored time. Every time David hands over a $20 bill for gas, he is handing over a piece of his Tuesday morning. He is trading his limited time on Earth for the right to sit in traffic. He is trapped in the commuter hamster wheel. And he does it because everyone else in the lanes next to him is doing it too. It feels normal to be completely drained by Thursday afternoon. It feels normal to live paycheck to paycheck while wearing a corporate badge. But I guarantee you it is not normal. It is a highly engineered extraction method designed to keep you running. They want you tired. Tired people do not have the energy to start businesses. Tired people do not meticulously audit their credit card statements. Tired people just pay the minimum balance and go to sleep. Today, I want you to grab your bank statement and calculate exactly how much of your salary actually remains after paying to work. The result is going to terrify you. If this video opened your eyes, send it to that colleague who always walks into the office looking exhausted. We are going to exit this hamster wheel together. Comment, "I understand the game," to signal to the algorithm that you woke up today. You are sitting in gridlock on Interstate 95 at 6:45 in the morning. A sea of red brake lights stretches for miles ahead of you. The check engine light suddenly flickers on your dashboard. Your stomach drops because you know exactly what that means. It means another bill you cannot afford. Meet David. David earns $80,000 a year as a corporate account manager. When people ask him how he is doing, he smiles and says he is fine. He thinks he makes about $38 an hour. He is lying to himself every single morning. Let us look at the brutal math of David's actual life. He leaves his house at 6:30 in the morning to beat the rush hour traffic. He fails. He gets to his desk at 8. He leaves the office at 5 in the afternoon. He pulls back into his driveway at 6:30. He is giving his company 12 hours a day, but they are only paying him for 8. Those 4 extra hours belong to Interstate 95. That is 20 unpaid hours a week. That is roughly 1,000 unpaid hours a year. David is working 25 40-hour weeks entirely for free. If that calculation just punched you in the stomach, subscribe right now. Here, we do not talk about miracle investments. We talk about stopping the fraud you commit against yourself every day. Now let us add the actual financial cost of this daily trip. David fills his gas tank twice a week. He pays the Easy Pass tolls that quietly deduct $20 from his checking account before he even notices. He buys an overpriced coffee at the rest stop just to stay awake behind the wheel. He puts 15,000 miles a year on his car. That mileage destroys the resale value of his vehicle. I sit in my own car on the highway, gripping the steering wheel, and I realize the truth. I am literally paying money to travel to a place that supposedly pays me money. It is a brilliant scam. Because David's budget is always tight from these hidden commute costs, he faces another problem. He applies the Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness without even knowing it. He cannot afford the premium ceramic brake pads that last 3 years. So, he buys the cheapest brake pads available at the discount auto store. They wear out in 8 months. He has to pay the mechanic for labor 3 times as often. Being broke is incredibly expensive. David pays the poverty premium at the auto shop, at the gas pump, and on his car loan. His auto lender charges him 8% interest on a piece of metal that sits in a parking lot losing value all day. If you got mad at this math, leave a like right now. Anger is the very first step toward efficiency. Do not just blame the vague concept of the system. Look at the specific players extracting your cash. Look at the human resources manager who mandates mandatory in-office collaboration. She does not care about team building. She is just trying to justify a 10-year commercial real estate lease to the board of directors. Look at the silent inflation that makes your routine oil change cost 40% more than it did 3 years ago. Look at the city planners who underfund public transit, forcing you to buy a depreciating asset just to participate in society. I call this the invisible tax of presence. You are subsidizing your employer's infrastructure with your own time and your own vehicle. When David's alternator finally breaks, the mechanic quotes him $600. David does not pay $600. He pays 30 hours of his life. He sits in a cubicle for 3.5 days, answering emails, dealing with corporate complaints, just to afford a car part. A car part that broke because he drives that car to that exact same cubicle. It is a closed loop of financial loss, and it gets worse when he gets home. When David finally walks through his front door at 6:30, he is completely drained. He has zero energy to cook the groceries he bought on Sunday. So he orders a $25 meal on a delivery app. If he worked from home or lived 10 minutes away, he would have cooked a $5 meal. The commute did not just cost him gas and tolls. It cost him his physical energy. That exhaustion forced him to buy back his own time through expensive takeout food. This is a compounding financial bleed. Let us calculate his real hourly wage. His gross income is $80,000. After federal and state taxes, he brings home about $60,000. Now subtract the cost of gas, tolls, maintenance, auto loan interest, and extra car insurance. Subtract the professional clothes he is forced to buy to look presentable in an office. Subtract the convenience food he buys because the commute leaves him too tired to function. He is left with maybe $40,000. Now divide that by the real hours he dedicates to his job, not just 2,000 working hours. Add the 1,000 hours of commuting. Add the mandatory off-hours emails he answers from his couch. His real hourly wage drops to about $13 an hour. He could make that exact same rate walking to a local grocery store. The gross salary is the biggest lie of modern employment. They show you a high number to make you feel successful, but they hide the enormous cost of working. I look at the guy in the lane next to me on Interstate 95. He is eating a fast food breakfast sandwich resting on his steering wheel. He is exhausted too. We are all trading our limited hours on Earth for asphalt and exhaust fumes. We are paying the toll of convenience because we are too tired to argue. And if your credit card linked to your EZ Pass expires, they do not just decline the charge. They send you a bill in the mail with a $5 administrative penalty attached. The toll. Authority literally penalizes you for not having your financial life in perfect automated order. That is the poverty premium at work. They extract wealth from people who are too busy surviving to manage the micro details. Your time is being stolen in 10-minute increments. Your wealth is being drained in $5 convenience. Fees. This is the fraud of working. It is designed to keep your bank account hovering just above zero. Today, grab your bank statement and calculate exactly how much of your salary actually remains after paying to work. The result is going to terrify you. If this video opened your eyes, send it to that colleague who always walks into the office looking exhausted. We are going to exit this hamster wheel together. Comment. I see the system to validate your awakening. Picture the dashboard of a 10-year-old Honda Civic. The check engine light flickers right as you hit the brake lights on Interstate 95. You are bumper to bumper surrounded by a sea of red taillights. It is 7:15 in the morning. Your expensive coffee is getting cold in the cup holder. Your stress levels are spiking before the workday has even begun. You are not even at the office yet, and you are already completely exhausted. This is not just a bad morning commute. This is a financial hemorrhage that absolutely nobody talks about. Meet David. David works in corporate human resources and makes $65,000 a year. He thinks he is doing relatively okay. He tells his friends he makes roughly $31 an hour. But David is lying to himself. Let us look at the brutal math of his daily reality. David drives 1 hour each way on I-95 just to get to his desk. That is 2 hours of his life every single day, completely unpaid. Multiply that by 5 days a week. That is 10 hours of unpaid labor just to access his own paycheck. In a single year, David spends over 250 hours staring at license plates. That is an entire month of full-time work where he earns absolutely nothing. But it gets significantly worse. David actually pays for the privilege of sitting in that traffic. Let us talk about the gas. He spends about $60 a week filling up his tank just to commute. Then there are the easy pass tolls. That is another $20 a week just to use the express lane because he is terrified of being late. Add the synthetic oil changes, the brake pads, and the massive depreciation of his car. Every single mile he drives knocks cents off the resale value of that vehicle. When you add it all up, David is spending about $400 a month just to arrive at a building he does not want to be in. If we subtract those expenses from his take-home pay and divide it by the real hours he spends dedicated to his job, his hourly rate collapses. David is not making $31 an hour. After the commute costs and the unpaid transit time, he is barely making $18 an hour. For David to buy that new iPhone, he needed to sit through 150 hours of useless traffic that he fundamentally hates. If this number gave you a punch in the gut, subscribe. Here we do not talk about miracle investments or fake gurus. We talk about stopping the fraud you commit against yourself every single day. This brings us to the biggest illusion of modern adult life, the gross salary. Your employer sells you a gross number on a piece of paper. They make you believe that your car is a symbol of freedom and independence. The reality is that your car is just a toll booth you have to pass through to sell your labor. Let us step into David's shoes for a second. I grip the steering wheel at 6:30 in the morning. My eyes burn from lack of sleep. I did not sleep well because I was worrying about an electric bill that just went up again. I stop at a drive-thru because I literally did not have the energy to brew coffee at home. That is $6 gone before the sun is even fully up. This is what I call the exhaustion surcharge. When you are completely drained from sitting on I-95, you buy convenience to cope. You buy the overpriced coffee. You buy the fast food lunch because you left your meal prep on the kitchen counter in a rush. You order delivery for dinner because the idea of cooking after another hour in gridlock makes you want to cry. This is not you being lazy or lacking discipline. This is a calculated feature of the system. The corporate return to office mandate is not about team collaboration. It is an economic engine built to extract your wealth. They force you back onto the highway. The city government gets its toll revenue. The gas stations get their daily cut. The auto loan industry keeps you trapped in an 8% interest car note. This is where the Sam Vimes boots theory hits you right in the wallet. David cannot afford the premium tires that last 60,000 miles. He buys the absolute cheapest tires available at the discount shop. Because of the brutal potholes on the interstate, those cheap tires wear out in 20,000 miles. He ends up buying tires 3 times as often as a wealthy person who works from home. It is incredibly expensive to not have extra cash. He is paying the poverty premium every time his wheels hit a bump on the highway. The banking system absolutely loves this dynamic. Your friendly bank manager will gladly offer you a credit card that gives you 2% cash back on gas. They sell it to you like a fantastic financial benefit. Look at the math. You are going into debt at 24% interest just to buy the fuel you need to get to work. They are profiting off the sheer distance between your bed and your cubicle. They are monetizing your travel time. Let us break down the insurance trap. David pays $150 a month for his car insurance. His premium just went up because he lives in a high-traffic zip code. He is being penalized simply for existing in a working-class geography. That is almost $2,000 a year vanished. The system forces him to buy a policy to protect an asset that the bank technically owns. If someone rear-ends David on the interstate, his rate goes up even if he did absolutely nothing wrong. The math is rigged at every single intersection. And what do you get in return for all this spending? High blood pressure and a piece of metal that is worth less every single day. If you got mad at this math, leave a like. Anger is the first step to financial efficiency. You need to understand what I call the invisible transit penalty. You are literally giving away the best hours of your morning. You are giving away the absolute last drops of your energy in the evening. You come home with zero patience left for your kids. You have nothing left to give to your spouse. You certainly have zero creative energy left to build your own business. The commute steals your capital, but more importantly, it steals your capacity to think. You cannot plan a financial exit strategy when you are solely focused on not rear-ending a semi-truck. Then there is the absolute illusion of the corporate promotion. David thinks if he just gets that bump to $75,000, he will finally breathe. But what actually happens with the promotion? More responsibility and endless meetings. He stays at the office until 6 in the evening. Now he hits the absolute worst of the rush hour traffic on his way back home. The exhaustion compounds daily. He starts hiring people to do the basic life tasks he used to do for free. He pays a lawn service because he has no physical energy to mow the grass on Saturday. He pays for grocery delivery because the thought of walking through a crowded supermarket on Sunday gives him anxiety. His promotion did not buy him financial freedom. His promotion bought him outsourced survival. The extra money simply passes through his checking account and goes straight to convenience apps. He is bleeding cash just to maintain the illusion of being a successful professional. And the Human Resources Department has the nerve to call this work-life balance. I want you to look at the people around you. In traffic tomorrow morning, look closely at their faces through the windshields. Nobody is smiling. They are all doing the exact same math in their heads, even if they do not know the exact formula. They feel the money quietly leaving their accounts. They intuitively know they are working the first 2 hours of the day just to pay for the car that gets them to work. This is a perfectly designed trap. You finance a car to get to work. You work 40 hours a week to pay for the car. The miles pile up on the odometer. The factory warranty expires. The mechanic hits you with a $1,200 repair bill for an alternator. Where does that money come from? It goes straight onto the credit card. Now you are working extra hours to pay off the interest on the repair of the car you need just to get to work. It is a brilliant and perfectly legal scam. The marketing agencies tell you that driving a brand new SUV means you have finally made it. They show you slick television, commercials of pristine cars driving on empty mountain roads. But you never drive on an empty mountain road. You drive on a gridlocked highway surrounded by gray concrete and exhaust fumes. That car is just a depreciating metal cage. Every minute you spend sitting in it is a minute someone else is profiting from your existence. Your employer gets your physical presence to justify their commercial real estate lease. The auto industry gets your non-negotiable monthly payment. The insurance companies get their inflated premiums. The state government gets your taxes and your endless tolls. Everybody wins except you. You are left with an empty gas tank and a migraine. This bleeding only stops the moment you refuse to play their game blindly. You have to calculate your real hourly wage. You have to stop looking at the gross number on your offer letter like it means something. Today, pull up your bank statement and calculate exactly how much of your salary actually remains after paying to work. Factor in the gas, the tolls, the extra coffees, and the wear and tear. The result is going to terrify you. If this video opened your eyes, send it to that colleague who always walks into the office looking exhausted. We are going to exit this hamster wheel together. Comment, "Enough slavery" to break the cycle. Today.